All right, how's it going, everyone? March 3rd, it is a Sunday. This is the weekend review for the broad market. We got the S&P, we got Netflix, oil, gold, natural gas. Throw in some Litecoin. So fun all around. So starting off, S&P, and in these videos, I'm gonna start incorporating the MACD. Normally, I would just be using RSI and volume. I think the MACD could be useful. So I'm going to throw it in there, and just right off the top, for example, we're looking at the weekly time frame on the S&P, and right here we can see a previous peak, previous all-time high, and then a new all-time high on the weekly time frame. But if you look at the MACD and the RSI, they'll both tell a similar story in the sense that this peak is higher than this peak on the MACD, and same with the RSI. But with the on the price action here, it's the opposite. So, anywho, weekly time frame, S&P, we touched this resistance level, 280 here. I'll jump into the daily time frame in a second, but straight up, extreme V-shaped recovery. It's kind of weird to think that we are not far from all-time highs, because I remember in late December, things were not looking good. We passed several weekly support levels and have failed. So if you do look on the MACD, you can see that the MACD weekly has crossed bullish back in late January for the first time since it crossed bearish right over here. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I wasn't expecting this V-shaped recovery, and I'm not going to be extremely bullish in this sense. Granted, this is a very nice recovery, but it's just we did break these weekly supports, so really it's an all-time high is next, in my opinion. So it kind of depends. Bulls could be worn out at this point. We were weekly oversold, though, so nice. But I'm going to zoom to the daily time frame, and again, daily uptrend, higher highs, higher lows in the daily time frame. Been closing over this middle Bollinger Band for quite some time, and we tested that level. I believe it was 280, the first level. Let's see here, 280.40, and we got the 281.31. Beat that one and beat that one. Okay, so we broke past all three of these resistance levels, but just barely. So if we zoom in on the daily, we can see just barely, right? We touched above it, then sold, created a dip for the past couple days, and on Friday, really nothing. I would have liked to see close stronger, but yeah, we really got to start closing up above that 280 level for some strength. And again, looking at the MACD, it's kind of in this trajectory where it's kind of looks like it's about to curve and cross bearish, and we did get a bearish MACD cross couple trading days ago, so we'll see if we can turn that around. Ultimately, we got to go past February 25th's candle. We got to go past 281. We got to make a new daily higher high on the daily time frame for the S&P to continue bullish. And if we start bearish, worst case scenario, we have a daily downtrend, but we would have to create a higher low on the weekly time frame and then continue to higher highs for the weekly trend change to really take effect. So that's S&P. Let's go to Facebook. And here we go. Okay. Nice. Very nice. Nice weekly trend change. So on the weekly time frame, this looks good. I don't normally start out by looking at the weekly time frames, but again, first time we were weekly oversold, this is important, was all the way back here in November. Right, so we had this huge gap down, daily downtrend for weeks, touched weekly oversold. That's pretty kind of a big deal, because on the weekly time frame, if you're oversold, that means things are very, very oversold. And then came up a little bit for a little breath of air, then boom, made a new lower low. Yet on the RSI, we did not go as low, so that's bullish divergence on the weekly time frame, which just means the troughs or the low points, right? This low point is higher than this low point, right? So we're trending downward. We're making a new lower low on the weekly time frame. But if you look at the RSI over here, for where we were right here, this was like the all-time low for the RSI, hit 27. Then we come down to where the price action goes even lower, and the RSI is 31.5. So the RSI troughs are trending up as the price action is going down, and that is bullish divergence. That means that upside is likely near the future, which we did see a nice run, and we have changed the weekly trend. There's the all-time low, right? We broke past this weekly lower high, set a higher low. Boom, higher highs. Looks like we're trying to set a higher low now. We'll have to see if we can continue that. So looking at the daily time frame. Ooh, man, that is close. So as you guys know, I did enter a position here with that hourly trend change, and my stop is the low from right here, right? So we need, on the daily time frame, what we need to see happen is we have to see, so that's just a lower high in the daily time frame. We have to establish a higher low compared to this low, and then a higher high, right? So I'm just wondering if I can, oh man, I don't like the way, can't really see this too well. See if I can move this down a bit. Okay, so like I said, we have to create a higher low, which it looks like we're trying to do, and then a higher high. So I'm going to jump to the hourly time frame and show you guys why I initially got in. And boom, I believe I got in on this hourly candle somewhere around 162 perhaps. But we ultimately, yeah, we did, yeah. So we got brief upside, right? And here's that higher low that we're trying to establish on the daily time frame. But we did come down, we did break this hourly low, but with little follow through, right? It's just trading sideways, consolidating, getting tight. Ultimately, we need the bulls to start coming in and buying again and then go past this high. So for me, if we come down, we see bearish side next week, I will get stopped out at about 159, let's see here, 159.76-ish, right? This lowish area from here, which is okay. It wasn't a lot of capital that I put into it, but I bought in on that hourly trend change because we did change the hourly trend. It was trending downward, lower highs and lower lows, and then all of a sudden, boom, on this candle we beat several previous lower highs. So we'll have to see if it plays out. It doesn't always play out, but again, if this were to be a healthy continuation on the daily time frame, we'd have to see higher highs. So that's Facebook. All in all, though, looking out, we did have a nice daily trend change, and if the S&P continues bullish, I'm sure Facebook will certainly be a part of that and continue for more upside. All right, Netflix. Weekly time frame. Wow, okay, so again, like everything else, pretty nice recovery, V-shaped recovery, I would say. Key level for Netflix is going to be up here now. I'm going to want to see 386.80 test at least. Boy. Or else, if we just peak out up here, then that is going to be just the weekly lower high. And then we got a lot of room in between our recent low right here. So if we can't fail to continue, we could be looking for weekly consolidation to form a higher low compared to this low down here. So we're going to jump to the daily time frame, get rid of this. And this is tight. A while ago I pointed out this could be a cup and handle situation, which was looking really good on the close of this green candle. But then obviously next day rejection, getting even tighter, then boom, we popped up briefly. And we have not seen strong follow-through, right? So we punched through a bit. This is not the follow-through you want to see on a daily cup and handle situation. You want to see a strong follow-through, a strong move up. This is not a strong move up. I would almost interpret this as bearish. Yeah, I honestly really don't like that. I don't like the lack of strength on that follow-through. So I do not have any positions in Netflix right now. Zooming out on the daily, and the S&P, it could be toppy. If it does top out, we will want to see, Netflix go lower. If you want to enter in a long entry, that would be the time to do it. Okay. Apple. Okay. Wow. Gee. Nice sell-off. Weekly time frame for Apple. We did get oversold on the weekly time frame. So if you were a long-term investor, when you get weekly oversold, that would be a good time, in my opinion, to enter. Granted, it's all relative, so you gotta take into account, is there news that's driving it that low? Did the company like an Enron situation, right? Did they fudge the books or something? So if it's something like that where they committed like a federal crime, and their company is going bankrupt, that's a situation where I wouldn't want to buy in on the weekly oversold levels. But for Apple, obviously, I don't think that's the case with Apple at all in this situation. They just got weekly oversold because the S&P was going in the trash. That would have been a good buying opportunity. Obviously, hindsight, always easy looking back. So interesting, the weekly MACD did just cross bullish, so that could be something to note. And it does look like we're getting tight on the weekly time frame. We came up a little bit and down a little bit sideways. Boom, we are right at the weekly SMA. This red line right here, we're at the weekly SMA. So the high of this candle, 175.57, 175.87. So we actually beat the high of this candle, which is good. We're going to have to see if we can punch through this middle Bollinger Band on the weekly time frame. So on the daily time frame, let's check it out. Oh, this looks okay. This does look pretty good in my opinion. Again, weekly daily MACD is starting to kind of flirt with a bearish cross, which could be okay as long as we see a weekly higher low. So let's jump back to the weekly time frame, right? So say the daily time frame, we see some downside. All we got to do is just create a higher low compared to this low all the way down here, right? So we could consolidate for a couple weeks, but if we form a higher low and then continue up, that's just part of the bull cycle. We got to create a higher low and then move to a higher high. So, I kind of am a fan of Apple at these prices. Again, Apple is just a massive company. Some argue that they could have peaked. Their peak years could be behind them, which could be true. But, I would want to buy into weakness and not, into all-time high strength for a company this size. So on the daily time frame, we gotta zoom out a bit. We gotta keep punching up. We gotta keep on creating higher highs, right? So here we have a higher high, higher low all the way down here, grinding up, barely making a higher high. Now we're trading sideways. We really need to punch through with some strength here. We did change that daily downtrend, which is good. So we just need to continue up. We need to see more buying upside. So yeah, we'll see if we can get it. Amazon. Let's jump to the weekly for Amazon. Okay, and this is why I like looking at things on the weekly time frame. Excuse me. So like I said, this is ideally, and again, on the daily, Amazon's pretty choppy, and I never really liked it when I would review it, but here's what I'm looking at, right? So we have a weekly downtrend. Here's the all-time high, lower lows, lower highs, right? Lower lows, we know the drill. Lower highs, then boom. This could be a weekly higher low, which is important because that's what uptrends are, right? It's higher lows and higher highs. So if this is our higher low compared to the all-time, or not all-time low, but recent low down here, then that could be good. And if we're looking for a higher high, we would need to beat 1736. This could be good because if that happens, we could successfully have a weekly trend change. So notice how we've crossed last week above the middle Bollinger Band, that simple 20-day simple moving average, the red line here. That's actually bullish, which this is actually the most clear I've seen Amazon, because I've always been reviewing it on the daily time frame. And if you look at the MACD, the weekly is just crossing bullish. So this is good. Let's go to the daily time frame. And again, the daily time frame, you've seen me review it, and I've not liked Amazon's trading action. It breaks bullish on the daily time frame right here, right, compared to this recent high, and then just no follow through, and it's really choppy. I didn't like it on the daily time frame. I would not have been day trading this, but on the weekly time frame, that's a different story. I do like how this is setting up. So this could be one that I may add to my retirement portfolio. Oil. I did have a play on oil. I did get out of it. Maybe a little prematurely. Let's check how UWT is doing. Okay, so I didn't. Okay, that's nice. I got out at a good time then. Ooh, it's hard to read it like that. Let's zoom over here. It's kind of hard to... Okay, I think I got out around 15 and some change. But let's go back to USOIL. Okay, so I did note, I noted the bullish divergence on the daily time frame, right? So, again, here's a low on the daily time frame. The RSI was the most oversold at this area, right? Price continues to push down, making new lows, but the RSI troughs are trending upward. That is bullish divergence, and of course we've seen a nice bounce and some continuation, which is good, but that could be just the extent to that bullish divergence. That move could be done. RSI has, been not cooling off, but we don't see this extreme clear bullish divergence that we saw about a month ago, 2 months ago. So we have made higher highs and higher lows, and let's look at the weekly time frame again. This might be a little more clear, which it is. Exit out of that. So here we go. Here's a low, right, lower low. So here's a low, lower highs, lower lows, then come up a bit, trade sideways, and then boom, we punch through this previous lower high, which is bullish, and we've seen some follow through, which is good. We started to close over the middle Bollinger Band. Last week we did not have a great week. We closed pretty low. Middle Bollinger Band, of course, was starting to cross bullish right in this range, which is good. I still think we could see some follow through in oil. I am out. I've made my money, and it was just I didn't capture the meat of, the majority of the move, but I captured enough, which is okay. But oil, technically, weekly trend change, so we'll have to see if we can see continuation and see how far it goes. Gold. Ooh, that's not too good. Okay. Big sell-off. Let's see what's happening on the daily time frame. See when that happened. Okay. Yeah, that's not good for gold. So what happened? Daily uptrend. We have higher lows and higher highs, right? So let's pick. I guess here's where it really broke. So it was on a daily downtrend, right? Daily downtrend. Starts getting really tight. Here's a higher low compared to this low, right? So we come up, boom, 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 boom. That's actually a higher low compared to this low. That's good. Then boom, break past all these resistances, trade sideways, then down a little bit, but we do form a higher low compared to this low. Boom, trading up, slightly trending upward, and then we're good. We start making higher highs and higher lows consistently. Higher low, higher high, right? Higher low, higher high, then boom. This is the first violation of the daily uptrend. We have gone past this daily higher low. So whenever we do that, whenever we break a support level like that, I err on the side of caution because this could be the daily trend change. We could see weekly consolidation at this point. So yeah, I would be cautious. We'll likely see a bounce, but I don't know if we're going to be breaking this recent higher high anytime soon. So I would be cautious on gold now. I would not be bullish. Nat gas, what is going on? Oof, weekly bearish MACD cross right here. So, Nat gas, weekly downtrend. Here's the high, right? Now we have a low, lower high, lower low. Anything below 374 is just a lower high on the daily time frame. So when are we? Obviously, we're starting to see a couple weeks of upside. So let's go to the daily time frame. Check that out. Okay, daily MACD cross right here. So again, anything below this level is just a weekly lower high. But bulls could start cooking. Hold on. Let's try to get a good look here. Okay, so yeah, I guess that is a daily trend change. Hold on, let's look at the low, 260, and then over here we got 259.5. Okay, so barely a lower low right here. Then we start coming up a little bit, then boom. So this is the last daily lower high, and we have beaten that. So it could be a grind up. I do like how we're closing upward up here, right? Good day on Friday. We are almost touching the upper middle Bollinger Band. So notice how in the middle Bollinger Bands, when they get tight, and we see this over here as well, when they get tight, a break is going to happen. And this is a very long, drawn out. Okay, so it's not that tight when you get to that point. But notice how, middle Bollinger Bands were big. We were seeing these big swings. And then, daily time frame started to chill out. Middle Bollinger Bands are getting tight. Or the Bollinger Bands are getting tight, I should say. And the fact that we closed touching the upper middle Bollinger Band is bullish in my opinion. So we could see more upside next week. We'll have to see. Litecoin. Cryptocurrency. Never traded crypto, but I am interested in getting into it. I did miss the whole run. Thought Bitcoin's overvalued at like 3,000 or 4,000 a coin. Obviously missed out, but that's okay. Huge consolidation on the weekly time frame, and Litecoin has changed the weekly trend. So I'm going to zoom in a bit. I need to make these volume bars not as. I'll figure this out later. I got to make it more transparent. But we have changed the weekly trend, right? So here's a low, lower highs, right? Higher low, then higher high. It's kind of hard to see on this view. But yeah, so the weekly trend has changed. We have been closing over the middle Bollinger Band, which is good. I would be bullish long on Litecoin right now. Yeah. I'm going to have to get an account set up and maybe start to accumulate some Litecoins. Let's check out BTC, USD. And Bitcoin is not quite there yet. We have not seen that trend change because we have not broken this last lower high. So until that happens, Bitcoin is going to be on hold. Again, if you guys, just the weekly overall broad market review. So let's check in tomorrow for the Canadian and US MJ spaces. I will be reviewing those. Alrighty, and you guys have a good day.